What's going on, guys? Back at you with another video. In today's video we're going to be doing an undercut with a ball fade on the sides, and I'm going to show you how to style it at the end. So we're going to start out with our andis magnetic purple guard. We're going to start with the lever open, which is the equivalent to a 1.5. We're going to disconnect the undercut all the way to the top. Now here you see I use my comb as like a pencil. I draw where I want it to disconnect. I separate it. I comb the rest of the hair down. And again, I take my 1.5 and I start to disconnect it in the back as well. Quick plug, guys, remember to go download the Barber Session podcast. Me and Chris Bosio record that every week. Last week we had an interview with Danny Amamorian. Next week we should be having Curtis Smith, so a lot of big names coming up. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Just search for the Barber Session podcast. Here I separated the other side, again using my comb like a pencil, and I'm separating the other side, completely disconnecting it from the top of the hair. So here I'm going to be using my Andis MVP with a 000 blade. We're going to make a first guideline to start the bald fade. Same thing on the other side. Try and keep it as even as possible. Little details that make a difference, guys. Also, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's @headlinesorbust. You guys updated on any videos that I have upcoming or any pictures that I take of my work, always goes on there. Here I'm using my Andis Masters with the lever all the way open, and I'm going to create my first guideline in erasing that bald fade. I'm going to go about 1 inch up and then work my way down, closing that lever notch by notch until I work my way down back into the 000. Also, guys, some pretty big news. We're launching our first shave gel. We're going to be at the Orlando premiere. I'll have some more information in my next video as far as booth number. We're going to be there showcasing Cutting Hair Live, me and Chris Bosio. So I'd love you guys to stop by, get any feedback, or to meet any of you in person that are going to be out there. Again, same thing here, just closing notch by notch, working our way down, using the corners of our blades, make sure we're brushing, and working our way down to that 000 line. I'm also going to be posting a link pretty soon in the video description. I get my all my clippers set by a barber. He's one of the managers of one of my shops. His name is Abby the Barber. He does a phenomenal job in setting clippers, guys. This guy's like the clipper master. Here I'm using my Andis magnetic #1 guard, and I'm going to start with the lever closed, because remember we started with the 1.5, and I'm going to start blending into that 1.5 with the lever closed. Here I'm using the Andis magnetic 0 guard. I'm going to start with the lever open, start blending into that 1, and then close it gradually and blend down into that 1/2 that I created with the master. Back here using the #1, lever closed, blending into the 1.5. Now we're using the Andis magnetic 0 guard again, lever all the way open, start blending into that 1, and close it gradually until we work our way down to the 1/2. Always use your mirror to cross check your work. In a perfect situation, I like using the mirror across from me, not the one that's directly at my station. Again, it's like stepping out of the box, looking outside of the box. When it's right in front of you, it's a little more difficult to pick up on any imperfections in the blend. Back here using the 0, the Andis magnetic 0 guard, again blending into the 1, working our way down, brushing, and working our way down back to that 1/2. Here I'm using the Andis Masters with no guard, lever open, and just touching up our work, cross-checking, making sure we get that flawless blend. Now I'm using my Andis MVP, and I've switched over from the triple 0 blade to the 5/0 blade. And now we're going to start knocking this bulk down. I've explained in some of my other videos, this is the way that I do it. If I want to upsell or charge a little more, you can put a little bit of lather on that hair on the bottom, shave it off, and it's just a perception. It's all about service. Makes your customer feel like you went the extra mile, and you can charge a little more. I usually charge about $5 extra if I'm going to shave it off. At the end of the day, it's going to be just as close. It's just perception. Presentation is key. Now here I'm using my Andis T outliners, and I'm doing the shape up on the sides. This particular client did not want me to touch anything in the front. He wanted to keep his natural hairline in the front. Here I'm just touching up a little bit of the little hair that's hanging over, but I'm not really giving him that hard edge. Now I'm doing the other side. Again, following the natural hairline, not pushing anything back. And again here, he didn't want a hard edge or hard line in the front, wanted to keep it as natural as possible, so I'm just touching it up. Here I'm using the andis shaver, and I start to bald out the bottom to give him that bald fade. Remember to flick your wrist towards the top. Don't really dig too much when you're getting towards the top, because you can just create another line and just create excess work for yourself. Now here I start wetting the hair. I'm going to start to do the scissor cut on top. If you're going to wet the hair, make sure you wet it thoroughly and all the way through, guys. Hair has elasticity to it, so if you don't wet it all the way through, you can have some hair longer than the hair that's dry. So you have to make sure you wet it all the way through and thoroughly. I usually tell my clients that I'm running them through the car wash. So now that I have the hair thoroughly wet, I start to section it off, and I part it right down the middle. I'm going to show you why I part it right down the middle. When you're doing an undercut, you want the longest point of the hair to be towards the front, right towards the cheekbone. So as you can see, I start cutting freehand, and I'm cutting on an angle. I'm going to leave the longest part towards the cheekbone, and I'm going to cut up higher towards the back, towards the crown of his head. You see a little better at this angle. And you follow it and just connect it through all the way around the back. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, leaving the longest point right at the cheekbone. The reason you want to leave it longer towards the cheekbone is when you pump it and when you style it back, you want that hair in the front to have some volume and lift up and back over and give you that style. Now I connect it around the back all the way through. What I'm doing here, guys, I grab both tips, both ends of the hair, and I'm just kind of cross-checking, making sure that I have the same length. So you can clearly see that on the other side it's a little bit longer. That's why it's so important to cross-check. I go back, trim it up, and I match it to the other side. I comb the hair back forward again, and now we're going to trim it a little bit. So now that we have it combed all the way forward, I'm going to pick up the hair. I'm going to create a guideline right down the center. I'm going to follow that guideline all the way back. My apologies, guys, you can't see at the very top here, but I'm just following what I'm cutting all the way back through. As you pick up the hair, you can see where it's shorter, and you just match it up. Now that the guideline is created down the center, you pick up the hair on each side, and then you just match it to the center. As you can see right there, it's shorter towards the center of my knuckle, and I just match it in. Now here I'm going to cut at an angle, and the reason I want to cut at an angle is because it creates more of a blend. It's not such a harsh line, and it helps the hair just lay down smoother towards the back here. Now I apply some product. And the key to applying product, guys, is you want to apply it to the root of the hair and then work your way up. You just apply it towards the ends, it's not going to do what you want it to do. It's not going to work the correct way. You need to apply it to the roots and then work your way up. You got to really work in the product. Now when you start to blow dry, guys, a lot of people go straight to a brush. Something I learned from a couple other YouTube channels that I've watched and watching other guys is use your fingers, and as you use your fingers, blow dry from the root up, just the same way you apply the product. You pick up the hair with your fingers and you blow dry from the root up. Then you can grab a brush. As you can see here, I'm just kind of turning the brush over and just styling the hair in the direction that I want it to go. Here I have a round brush and just finishing it up. Putting the final touches on it. And there you go, guys. That's an undercut styled with a blow dry. Please remember to subscribe, share, hit that like button, and I'll be back next week with another video.